Hello again, Squadron. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with a training video. This is for our new pilots to learn how to fly the Sabre. The Sabre is our namesake of our squadron. We are the Sabre Squadron, 1st Naval Air Squadron. Let's take a look around the cockpit. If you are not familiar with the commands and the controls in Star Citizen, that is one of the reasons why I am creating this video. This is to get you familiar with the basic commands and controls. This is not a complicated video. This is not going to be like strategy and tactics or anything like this. This is basic flight commands. And these are some of the commands that they don't really talk about during the tutorial. If I do repeat anything in the tutorial, then good, then that's great. That means the tutorial is teaching you some stuff that I think you need to know. And if they don't talk about it, then that's fine. But these are some commands that I find, well, you'll find helpful when just flying around. Just remember, these are the default commands, the keyboard shortcuts, and I am flying with a keyboard and mouse. So I want you to understand that too. There definitely will be differences if you're using a HOTAS, and there'll be differences if you're using a joystick. There will be differences if you're using a gamepad. These instructions is to talk about mouse and keyboard. And later, if you're curious to know why I use mouse and keyboard above my HOTAS or joystick, or gamepad, which I have all, but I prefer the mouse and keyboard. And if you want to know why, join me and I'll let you know. There is a tactical reason why I use mouse and keyboard when flying. All right, so let's take a look at the cockpit. Okay, you're in a Sabre cockpit right now. And if you notice on your HUD, you will see, and when I talk about the HUD, I'm talking about what's on your visor, because as you look around, you will see that you have items on your visor, and then you will have items on your hovering above your display. The HUD, or I should say heads-up display, these are also heads-up displays. But the one I'm talking about now is within your visor. It's in your helmet. You will actually see the ship up in the upper left-hand corner, a list of your weapons. You'll see your EM signature, your infrared signature, and the no target target locked box in the upper right. Plus, you'll see an area of where you're looking, the circle and dot in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to recenter that. Okay, so the HUD, you notice you have your ship displayed in the upper left-hand corner, and it is green right now because there is no damage. You also have your 4 aspects of your shield: your front, your back, your left, and your right. Some would call that port and starboard. You also have these blue triangles. Those blue triangles are your thruster placements. As they get damaged, they can turn different colors. If you were to press F1, F2, F3, and F4, it's going to bring up either your weapon, that's F2, F3 is power, and F4 is shields. Now you can see overall weapon, power, shields above your ship icon in the upper left-hand corner. Overall, weapon, power, shields. Below your ship, you see G1, G2, G3. That's your power allocation. To the right of that is your shield focus. It could be either to the front, left, right, back. Okay, and then the little bar on the right would be your top and bottom. But we're not really worried about all that. What we're worried about is what you see on the center inside the cockpit, right? What do we see inside the cockpit? The switches, the knobs, the glass, what do you see inside the cockpit? Well, you see this bar right here, you see is your throttle, okay? 0 to 100% right there. This above, this is a bar of how much thrust, boost thrust, afterburner thrust. It's basically a fuel level for combat maneuver. It tells you how much thrust you have available, and currently right now we're at 100%. These right here on the right hand side are your flares and your chaff, okay? And this is your radar 360-degree situational awareness globe. And these down here are what's called multifunction displays, and I'll get into that in just a second. Some people call those MFDs, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Then you have coupled G-Safe, ComStab, ESP, and quantum fuel. Okay, for basic flight in this scenario, we are not going to be talking about quantum fuel, coupled, G-Safe. Just leave it the way it is with coupled, G-Safe, and ESP lit up and ComStab turned off. Just leave it that way when you log in, just leave it. There's no need to change it. As your strategy and your flight technique improves, then you'll know when to switch in and out of these modes to help you better get a lineup on your opponent. But just basic flight, don't worry about it. Keyboard shortcuts, right? You got your fingers on your AWSD, right? Well, Alt, right below that, your left Alt, if you hold it down, it lets you look around without changing the aspect of your craft, right? So you can look around, do all kinds of stuff. You can look at the spire, you can look at the planet, blah, 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 right? So that's how you look around and see stuff, okay, without your ship turning. Now, if I was to hold Alt down and press the down arrow, which is S, it brings me to one of my MFDs. Okay, it zooms me in. So now I can actually look around and see, and I can interact with this MFD. With myself being zoomed in, I can press the left or right arrow, which is A or D, to get me to go to a different MFD. I go to the right, go to the right, go to the left, go to the left, right? I don't think my arrow keys work that way. They don't. These are just the A and the D keys. And if I press the W key, it doesn't do anything. And the S key doesn't do anything, because once I get locked in the Sabre, you only have 3 MFDs to look at. There's a couple of others, like this one and this one, which you can make adjustments and stuff, but when you're zoomed technically into this one. Let's zoom in on, let's let go. Now we're not zoomed in anymore. We hit Alt, left, it goes straight to the left one. Don't zoom in, Alt, right. Now I'm in, right? Okay, great. The left arrow, you're noticing it's a little out of sync, isn't it? Okay, but I'm actually making adjustments to my MFD. So you have to decide at what MFD, what do you want being displayed on that MFD, and you can change it on the fly. But if you want to know your target information right there, put your target information there. If you want to know what your shield and throttle is set at, and your power consumption and all that, put it there. If you want to know where your shields are, or your damage, or your boost level, quantum fuel, EM signatures, all that stuff you can put there. But what I find not necessary, right now, things will change in the future, but right now, you have all of that information on your helmet display. See what I'm saying? So don't get too excited. There are MFDs down here, and you can make changes to them, but right now there's not really any need to do that. Okay, now what I'm doing right here is I'm changing my weapon groups, right? So right now I've got all of these ones lit up. That should be my left mouse button. And then I could turn one off, turn it on or off if I only want to fire 3. But right now I want to fire with my left mouse button. I want to fire all my lasers. Okay, I'm letting go of the Alt key. We have your mouse pointer, right? So when I point my mouse to my left without touching any other keys, I will yaw to the left. If I point my mouse to the right, I will yaw to the right. If I point my mouse up, I will pitch up. And if I point my mouse down, I will pitch down. Yaw, pitch. Now, I can yaw and pitch at the same time, obviously. I will put whichever direction I point the mouse look pointer, my ship will try to get lined up to that position, right? So now if I'm trying to look directly at the spire and I'm flipping around, and there I can go, boom, and I'm lined up with the spire. All right, now with the A and D keys, you roll. Roll right, roll left. A and D keys, roll right and roll left. Okay. Now, if I was to throttle up, you would notice my throttle going, and if I was to throttle down, you would see the throttle down. Okay, so let me just get away from that light because it's kind of taking away from my HUD, and I'm going to look out into space over here where you can see all the stuff from the HUD. Now, right below my throttle, you see something called SCM. That is what's being highlighted. That is called Space Combat Maneuvering. If I press the V, Victor key, that will change it to PRE, which is precision flying. You use precision flying when you are trying to land or maneuver through tight spaces. So like if you're landing on a carrier, approaching a hangar bay, or if you're trying to just land on a landing pad, you use precision maneuvering. If you're trying to just inch your way up to a position where you can EVA out, and you want to do it closely without running into the item that you're trying to get close to, use PRE or precision flight mode. V again will put you in space combat maneuvering. There is a third mode, and this one is what a lot of pilots get tricked out when they're flying, and this is hopefully will alleviate some of that. It's another one called CRU, which is cruise mode. So see, two of them are just the first few letters of the word, where SCM, it should be like SPA, right? Space. But no, it's space or combat. It should be CBT in my opinion. But it's space combat maneuvering, or PRE for precision, and then CRU for cruise. And the only way you can reach cruise option is if you are going at over 50% velocity, or your thrust is at over 50% thrust, and you cycle through. The PRE will disappear and it will change to CRU as an option. The only way, if you're going at cruise, or if you're in space combat maneuvering and you're going very fast, the only way you can switch to PRE is if you apply your space brake, which is space bar on your keyboard, drop your throttle below 50%, and slow down. When you're starting to slow down, you're braking, you can press that V and it'll get you to precision. Otherwise, you can only alternate back and forth from space combat maneuvering and cruise. If you're going slow, you can only go back and forth between space combat maneuvering and precision. So don't just assume you can go from cruise mode straight to precision, because you've got to slow down. You got to get going pretty slow to go to precision maneuvering. Okay, here we go. Now you've got more than just aspect. Like there's some landing pads, and we'll talk about that when I get closer to the landing pads. But other than just yawing around, pitching up and down, and throttling forward and backwards and adjusting your speed, you also have what's called decoupled movement, Q and E. Okay, Quebec and Echo. You press Q, you notice how we're going directly left. And then I press E, I shift directly to the right. So I can press Q and E. Okay, when I let go, I should come to a stop. And then R and F, when you're looking at your keyboard, you got Romeo and Foxtrot. That does the same thing, just up and down. You got up and then stop, and then F brings you down. Okay, the problem with the R and F, I've noticed some people have this problem. They press F and they hold it and then they wait to see them. This is during a landing. They wait to see it start moving before they let go, and then what happens is their ship slams into the landing pad. What you need to do is just use controlled presses. Press it and let go. You know, just a little bit at a time will do you. Okay, so you'll just get a little bit of down action. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, you know, just a little bit. And then the up, when you take off, you can just hold it down and go up a little bit so that you can take off in your landing gear. Okay. Notice how I started to red out. Okay. If you pull too many G's up, blood rushes from your head, it goes down to your feet. And when that happens, you start to black out. When you pull negative G's, and let's say I was going down, blood would leave my feet and go rush to my head. And when that happens, you red out, because now your eyes are full of blood. So you see red. Okay, and now if you want to go forward without throttling up, you press Control W. Here we go. Let's look at something that I probably, hopefully won't run into. Control W. Let go. You should stop. Notice it takes a second to stop. Control S will get me away. I'm backing up. Yes, you back it up, back it up. Control W goes forward. Control S allows you to back up. All right, now here's a few helpful tips that might help you when just maneuvering around. If you press the Insert button above your arrow keys, you'll get a third-person view of your ship. If you press Insert again, you will get a front aspected third-person view, so you can actually see what's behind you. Press it a third time, and you get a view of your pilot, for those of you that like seeing what you see. Now, while you're in the third view, you can press your Alt button down, and remember that adjusts your view. Okay, you can look around, you can see what's going on in your cockpit, around your cockpit, just outside the ship, things like that. Now, if you want to use your mouse wheel, you can. You can wheel it out, and you can get, remember, I'm holding my Alt button down, and I'm moving this around so that you can get a good look of your ship or your surroundings if you're curious, right? Okay, if you let go of the Alt, it'll lock into that one position. So when you move, that won't change. That stays exactly the way it was, right? Okay, so Alt will let you move it around. And then remember, you can press the Insert key and go back to your cockpit. And if you cycle through, it resets itself. Another thing you can do is, while you're in your cockpit, if you're trying to figure something out, trying to see something a long distance away, you can roll your mouse to zoom in, okay? So you can kind of get a closer look at what you're trying to find. Or you can wheel it back to your normal self. So that gets you a little bit of a zoom. Not a whole lot, but sometimes that's just enough. All right, now what we're going to do next is we're going to go to Crusader, and we're going to fly around at cruise, precision, space combat maneuvering, and I'll see you there. All right, pilot, now we are in Crusader, so you actually will see live action what's going on. This is not a drill. This is live flight. So when you're looking around, I'm at Port Olisar. You can look around, you can see other ships and other icons. You can see the planet and things rotating around. Now, if you notice, the hologram looks a little bit different there, and that's because we are in a mode called landing mode. And the way you get into and out of landing mode is by pressing N. N, November. That gets you into and out of landing mode. How you can tell you're in landing mode is, other than the fact that you have a two-dimensional display screen here, when you look right above coupled, you see the word automated. It's either on or off. If it's on, it's automated, and if it's off, you're on manual mode. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to take off without going automated or manual or switching from landing mode, any of that. We're just going to press and hold the R button, because as you know, that is strafe up. So we're going to press it, hold it, and look at that. We are launched. And we're going to hold it down. We're holding it down. We are way up in the sky. And you notice the automated disappeared, because now we're in combat mode or flight mode. Okay, so I'm going to, and we are in precision mode, so it starts you off in precision. So now what I'm going to do is throttle up. We are at 100% throttle. The throttle scales up and down. I'm at 60, 45, 100. But you notice my speed, which is on the left side of the bars, is still only at 50. Because in precision mode, you can't go faster than 50. Right? So now when I switch to V or Victor, that'll change me from precision mode to space combat maneuvering. See, the two options at the bottom is precision and space combat maneuvering. Okay, before I do that, I want you to see the circle that is around my center crosshair. You see it like this squared off. It's like a circle with rounded edges, right? And it's a little bit lighter than my looking circle. And then it has a little chevron at the bottom that points up. That's telling you that we are traveling forward. It's also telling me as a pilot in which direction I'm traveling. I'm traveling towards that. If I was to stop, bring my throttle to 0, it disappears, because now I'm not moving anywhere.
Contact. Begin scan.
If I was to start moving backwards, and I'll do that with Control S,
Contact.
you see it appears, but now the arrow is pointing downward. So it's telling me that I am going in reverse.
Contact.
I'm going to let go. It disappeared. All right, so let's go throttle up, precision combat maneuvering. It's going to allow me to change to, precision maneuvering, to space combat maneuvering. I just switched. Now you see the CRU. That means if I hit it again, I will go to CRU, which is cruise. You see a little time at the top letting me know how long it's going to take to get to maximum cruise velocity. So I'm at maximum cruise. Now when I try to turn left, you notice it's not turning very fast. I've got this look way to the left, as far to the left as it'll go, and I'm barely turning. But when I switch to V, Victor, it'll put me in space combat maneuvering, and I will spin around. Look at that. Another thing, if you are climbing or diving, pitching up or pitching down, and if you do that very fast, you will black out, or you will red out. But I'm in space combat maneuvering right now, so we should be approaching the station at a fairly good clip. Remember, it's not precision unless I slow down to less than half and then hit V, it goes to precision. But I still have to physically slow down. V, space combat maneuvering. V, cruise mode. V, space combat maneuvering. I can turn a little bit better. And it's bringing me down to normal combat power. And what that's supposed to represent is space combat maneuvering is slow enough where you can actually make sharp turns without killing your pilot. But in cruise, it kind of locks down your turning abilities so that you don't get splattered up against the windshields. So your computer is there to save you is what it's doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop. There we go. We're going to stop again.
Contact. Begin scan.
And you notice below the precision, it says meters per second. Meters per second. So that's how fast you're traveling. Okay, let's get a little bit closer to a landing pad. While you're flying, you can look around, and your ship will continue flying straight forward. You've got the little circle with the arrow telling you which direction you're going. If I am flying straight forward and I use the left, I will still continue to fly straight forward and strafe to the left. And then I can strafe back to the right while I am still going forward. So what winds up happening is you slip. I'm slipping left and right as I'm trying to travel forward as well. The direction that you're traveling is that squared off circle. So understand that that is the direction that your ship is maneuvering. When you let go, it should bring it back to normal. There we go. Back to center, I mean. And I'm glad you guys came out to this training session of our boot camp, and hopefully you taught you a little bit before you started getting engaged in combat in Star Citizen. All right. I mean, I understand that this is just flight. I strongly recommend that you get your ship, you fly around in the simulator in free flight until you get comfortable with maneuvering your ship, and then maybe flying around in the actual universe live around some free fly zones that are armed so that there's no gunfire. And then once you feel comfortable with doing that, then you can come out there and engage some pirates with your squadron. Again, thank you for checking this video out, and I'll see you in the hangar.